What's up, guys? Welcome to theScore eSports podcast. I am your host, as per usual, Colin. In the booth with me, we got Josh Burry.
Hello.
And a lovely empty chair. It's just the two of us today, Josh. It's an intimate podcast. Actually, it's not really just the two of us.
No.
As per usual, we have a guest. If you got, I like how you cut to the empty chair there.
No, I'm cutting the empty chair and I'm just leaving it there.
Okay.
In memory of the other co-hosts who might have been here but are not.
Yeah, exactly. We'll wait.
Nothing happened to them, by the way. I know that sounds really horrible. Nothing happened to them. They're okay. One's on vacation. The other, I don't know.
Dan and Dennis are alive. I assure you.
At this exact moment, yes.
It's a lovely DX Racer chair. You've just put the camera on. As I was saying, we do have a guest. If you guys have been on the League of Legends subreddit, if you've been, in the League of Legends Twitter sphere, if you've been on the internet, you have probably heard about this gentleman and the issue he's having. We've got Cowsep on. He's a League of Legends streamer, and he streams out of Korea, and he's had all his accounts banned. I'm not going to tell you why, because I'm going to let him explain it for us. Josh, why don't we bring Cowsep on?
Are you with us, Cowsep?
No. Oh, that was funny. That was funny.
All right.
I thought so.
Well, I mean, you are on the other side of the world, so you're really only with
I'm
us
not
on
with
the
you.
internet. Yeah.
Right. That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Cowsep, before we get into the nitty gritty of it, for anyone who's listening who maybe has just started hearing about you because of this incident, this banning, can you give a little TLDR, like who you are, what you do, why you do it?
Oh, okay. I'm Cowsep. I'm a Master Yi main. I play League of Legends Korea server. I do it for a living. I have my YouTube and my stream channel. I've been doing it for 4 years. I've been living in Korea for 6. I mean, I'm just an interesting guy that dresses up in a cow uniform.
So what did actually bring you to Korea, if I may ask?
Originally, I was a pro gamer for a game called Grand Chase back in 2009, and I always wanted to go to a foreign country. At first, it was Japan. You know how everybody wants to go to Japan?
Yes.
But then I decided I'm just too cool to be like everybody else. So I started searching for another country. And I thought China was going to be too mainstream because everybody was going to want to learn Chinese because it's going to take over the USA. And then, Japan has weebs. And so I decided, I got to go to Korea. And that was before K-pop. So that's just how it started.
Damn, that was a pretty good explanation.
Yeah.
I gotta say.
Yeah.
Asian country visiting hipster, right?
Yeah, you just kind of had to find a country near Japan that just wasn't as popular at the time. But I've kind of fallen in love with the country. So.
Hey, fair enough. If you're there for 6 years, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, 6 years.
So, where do we begin? What happened? I guess that is the question. I'm gonna let you tell the whole story. What happened?
I mean, I'll give you the little general gist, and you can ask more questions.
Sounds great.
It started many years ago. When I first got here in Korea, I was super excited to play some League of Legends, of course. I even made a forum post, and I'm sure some Korean could probably dig it up, where I was asking for Korean friends. And, I had some respectable interest with that. And, I started playing Korean League of Legends. But the server kind of did not meet my expectations. It's full of toxicity. And I made a post 3 years ago talking about the racism and toxicity and AFKs and things like that. And it did reach the top of Reddit, and it was never addressed. And I decided to try again after somebody tried to call me out for being toxic. And it ended up at the top of Reddit, and I basically said that Riot Korea never bans people. They never punish people. And then less than a week later, they said, hold my beer, Cowsep. I'll show you how to punish people. and they banned all of my accounts.
Wow.
Yeah.
So just to confirm, the Reddit post you were referencing from 2 years ago, I think you said?
3 years ago.
3 years ago, excuse me. That's the same one that Riot is reacting to, or that's a different one?
That's a different one. That was a different one that was talking about this, because at the time, I was a streamer and I was having a lot of situations in solo queue where people were just being overall toxic to me and things like that for no reason. And a lot of people started connecting it towards racism and things like that. So I tried to clear up the issue with the Reddit thread. I didn't personally make it. I did respond to it. And I tried to clear it up and talk a little bit about how the Korea server was and how Koreans in real life are actually very, very nice and very, very good. And just in general, I think that on the internet, when you're behind that shield of, being anonymous, they were really rude. So I tried to draw attention to that issue 3 years ago, and it didn't work. And so I had to make another thread later, which is causing all the drama now.
Cowsep, I want to ask, because I think people have this idea of the Korean server being this, like, especially if you haven't played on it, being this like pinnacle of the competitive, like outside of the actual eSports part of it, right? Like it's the best server, the best players are there. And maybe for some reason people assume that there is like a level of professionalism that must come along with that, or respect.
Like the respect,
But it sounds like that's really not the case. So what are some of the things you encounter on a regular basis?
Well, in general, I think that the worst elo would definitely be around Diamond 5 because, in general, Diamond 5 elo is Diamond 5 elo. As you get higher is when things get interesting because most people can't understand because, it's like the top 0.1% of players, right? In the Korea server, the reason why it's so good is because it's in a good spot in Asia where China can play, Japan can play, Vietnam can play, all the Garena servers can all play in the Korea server. So what happens is Korea has a huge population. It has a big reputation from esports in the past. So everybody's playing on this mixing pot of a server. But the thing is Korea over the years has grown up primarily as, everybody's Korean. In order to play games here, you had to have a social security number. And so what happened is that there's a bunch of players like Chinese players, American players, the Vietnamese players. They're all playing here because it's the best server, but they're using bad methods to do it. It's against the rules. You're not supposed to steal somebody's Korean social security number and play in Korea. And I think this is one of the things that's leading to the toxicity in the Korea server is that Koreans see these people and they just why are these people breaking our rules to come play in our server? So the professionalism kind of goes out the window when you have these conflicting interests where a lot of Chinese people are getting into Diamond 2 and higher, right? Diamond 2 is really good in other regions. It's about low masters in other regions to Diamond 2 in the Korea server because so many people play there. It just makes so much competition in that elo. And so in that elo where you would expect people to be polite, kind, and respectable of each other, you just have people that are constantly breaking rules, and you have people coming in and just talking very negatively to each other.
So it's a lot of like verbal, well, obviously not verbal, but like text-based abuse that you get from people. I mean, obviously I saw the recent thread that you made where you were called a Yankee.
Well, that's a bad translation of something else. I'm a big-nosed white guy is really what they're trying to say.
Yeah, I was reading the Reddit thread cross post and I was trying to get a feel for that like term, I guess. But like, so this is something that you encounter regularly then, like
multiple times a day.
So we're talking like that one example you gave. You had like a Bang was in your game, and that guy decided to throw the game nonetheless.
He threw the game because of me, yes, and Bang pretty much begged him. I mean, it's not often that I get called like Yankee or the racism hits me, but it's often that I see people being, just generally very distasteful towards each other. The Chinese will say Korean dog, the Korean will say Chinese dog, and then Taiwan #1, China #1, right? They're just trying to agitate each other, and people go AFK constantly.
So would you say that I know you said you've been living in Korea for the last 6 years, but you've played on other servers here and there. Would you say that
Yes.
the Korean server is markedly different in this respect than other servers?
Well, okay, so I played on pretty much every server up to Diamond or High Diamond. Like in NA, I played on Low Masters, MMR, EU West. I got to Diamond 3, Vietnam Diamond 5, Taiwan Diamond 5. I've been to Diamond in pretty much every region. And I feel that in general, most servers have pretty much nothing on Korea. I think that Korea's toxicity is a bit more I want you to lose. While the toxicity in other regions is mostly like, I hate you and I want you to know how much I hate you. Right. So I think that the Korea has a large focus on you're playing in the best region in the world and you will amount to nothing, and I will ensure that you will not climb on our server. While the other regions are mostly like, I really dislike playing with you, and I'm going to tell you bad things about yourself and things like that.
So when people do something like they purposely go AFK to throw the game, obviously it's in such a way that you have to suffer through that game. You can't. They don't just quit, it's just the worst, right? It's awful. When they do that, in most instances, do you feel that it's like a response to you? They knowing who you are, or knowing that you're foreign, or is it, or sometimes a response to things that you do within the game?
I think that in general, it's based on the situation. I don't think too many people would actually throw a game because of my race. I think that my race is not an issue in terms of like, I don't think people are like just generically, I hate white people, so I'm going to throw this game. I think the thing is they want to find a reason to throw the game. Maybe they played a game with me earlier and we lost. And I'm popular, or I'm famous, or whatever, whatever you think of me. And so they say, oh, I know this guy, he did this, I dislike this guy, I'm going to throw, and I'm going to call him some racist remarks, right? It's not like, oh, he's white, I'm going to throw the game. It's, oh, I hate this guy a lot, and I'm looking for an insult. Oh, he's white, let's hit that.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, you've been streaming for a while, so I'm sure people are familiar with your various accounts at this point.
Yeah. Like, I have people that come up to me, like, the whole situation. I'll have people that'll say, oh, I hate this Cowsep guy, and he made me lose or whatever. And I'll look through their history, and I've never played a game with them. Or on the forums or whatever, people will talk shit about me, or pardon my French. And it's just like, these guys are like silver or gold, and I'm not trying to insult their rank, but a player that is silver or gold will never have the opportunity to play with me unless, I'm account sharing or something like that. So they don't know anything about me. They just read things about me, and then they spread it, and then people read that, and then they spread it, and that causes people to be rude to me in general.
So speaking of account sharing, I guess I want to talk about the actual ban that happened. So
yeah.
So you were banned, and it was about a week after the thread that you had made on the League of Legends forums, which were then cross-posted to Reddit, obviously. And so when you were banned, if my memory serves, after sort of like looking through this, your accounts were banned manually. You received automated emails about those bans. And once you got to the bottom of it, the stated reason for the bans was account sharing, which you had admitted to. Like, you admitted straight up front, I account shared.
I was absolutely transparent, yes.
So the result that came back from Riot Korea was it was an account sharing ban, but last I heard, the account you had played on hadn't actually been banned yet.
Yeah, I can still play on it if I wanted to, but I don't want to get a ban evasion and then have a real reason to permaban me. I feel like they're baiting me,
Like they're leaving the door open. They're giving you just enough rope, basically.
Yeah. Come play this account, Cowsep. They never banned it.
If this Sorry, go on, Cowsep. Sorry.
Well, the idea is that you almost think, hey, maybe they didn't have a real reason to ban me, and they read over my response and they're like, oh yeah, account sharing, yeah, he definitely did that. Let's tag him on that one.
So I think that on Twitter, at least, there was some correspondence between Riot from other regions and Riot Korea.
Yeah.
Did anything come out of that re-clarified, or that gave any more insight other than, it was for account sharing, but we didn't ban the account that you account shared on?
Well, I gave it to the NA people pretty straight. I gave them emails and things like that. And a bunch of it basically, without revealing too much privately what we talked about, because I don't know their feel on it. It's something like, we messed up and we're one organization and we should hold each other to these standards. And I would love to give you more info about this. This is about 5 days ago. I would love to give you more info about this. However, I just received an email from Riot Korea, and it's a really long email. And it appears that Riot Korea is mostly just sending long and needless emails and things like that to boggle down the NA team and force them to translate it and stuff like that.
Wow.
So no, I have nothing, and I haven't been contacted in over 5 days. It's actually quite ridiculous, to be honest with you.
Although it sounded like at the beginning of your statement there that from NA there was an admission of this wasn't handled the right way in some way.
Oh yeah. They even said it on the Reddit to the not same way.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can literally paraphrase. If they fucked up, then Riot fucked up. We're one organization, and we should hold each other eternally to higher standards. It's pretty clear we missed here. We didn't act tactfully or transparently. And I'm taking a huge part of my recommendation to Riot Korea moving forward. So they are recommending better action for Riot Korea. Though nothing will happen out of it, I think.
So you think that it's a 1 month ban, right?
Yeah, it's a 1 month ban.
So you think you'll be waiting the month?
Oh, absolutely. But I don't plan to return to the Korea server before a month anyway, even if it's lifted. I will serve my ban. Yes, I rightfully do deserve an account sharing ban, but I wish Riot Korea would take a stance and actually ban people that deserve it instead of manually picking on me.
So speaking of banning people that deserve it, you pointed out that the guy who threw that game that you're in with Bang was still out there.
He's still playing. Yeah, he's still going.
So,
yeah.
Like, obviously, like we were talking about this, obviously, like throwing one game, maybe not ban worthy if that was the only game he's thrown and it's not like a common pattern of games. But like, does that, like, I could just see, like, our viewers can't see it, but like I could see you sort of like laughing as you consider this. Does it sort of like we are sort of skirting around this issue a little bit? You touched on it a bit, but it seems like sort of what happened here is they saw the post, targeted you, and this guy is playing the game still. This guy is still out there playing the game. Yeah.
Well, what they did is they looked at my post. They used me as a scapegoat. They punished me. And they, by Riot's own admission, Riot NA admitted to it that they did ban me because of this post. It's right there. You can see it written. And the thing is to me, what this says is that Riot Korea they don't look at things like there's a post with evidence of a guy who recently did this, like within like 2 or 3 days, right? He did this thing, but instead of looking at somebody that's actually doing something wrong, they tried to find a way to punish me, right? It screams to me that they don't care about the other guy. Like I mentioned in the post, racism is okay to them. However, me playing on a Smurf account for a YouTube video is not okay.
Right.
So if it is the case where Riot Korea is looking for an excuse or perhaps looking for you to make you out as a scapegoat, what about, do you think, what you were saying makes you such a target? Like I know you're calling them out for perceived lack of action when it comes to toxicity, racism, and things like that. Do you think that could potentially be a reason that they're like, we're going to show this guy, we're going to shut this guy up?
I think the reason why I'm being focused here is because there's a saying, and actually if you read around on the Reddit, you've seen it quite often, you're supposed to beat down the nail that's sticking out. Mm-hmm. And if they let me kind of run around and talk negatively about the server, it might lead other people to speak out as well. Now the thing is in general, the Asian cultures, they have a lot of that face thing where you have to maintain a good face and they don't like to be talked down to, so I think it's mostly just a warning to other people, like, oh, look what we can do to you. And as I mentioned, it felt like an absolute threat to me that like if I don't stop talking about this, they're going to escalate my ban to a permanent ban.
It seems like if that is the case, you've sort of gotten to the point where that can no longer work because this is far from clamping down on this. This has boosted the signal of what you were trying to say so much, right? Oh yeah,
exactly. But you got to remember, now that my account's been tagged with the 1 month ban, if I get in trouble again, right? It's they do have me on a leash now that I wasn't on before because I was never punished previously. 6 years. Let's put it this way: on NA, I was banned like 9 times, right? Because I played NA from 2009 to 2012. I was banned 9 times. I've been playing Korea since 2012. I haven't been banned at all. This is the first time I've ever been banned.
That's an interesting way to put it, actually, is that
yeah.
that you only now face the ban when you have faced it in the past.
Yeah. And I can't do much more without risking my accounts getting permanently banned.
So actually, I guess I want to ask about that. How much, like, okay, first of all, the account sharing thing, you totally said, like, yes, I account shared. I deserve the ban for that. Like, it doesn't seem like you're contesting that at all. Although the reason that you were banned outside of account sharing, you know, might be something that we've already discussed, obviously. But what do you personally do that might have been ban worthy? Like you said, I haven't been banned until this point. Is there, like, what sort of things do you do that might amp this up? You know what I'm saying?
Well, you know, I can't really incriminate myself too much, but the things that I do play all my games on stream now for the past few years, and you can see me on stream multiple times telling my Twitch chat about how you can literally type whatever you want as long as you avoid the special targeted word, which is the holy Korean F word. And so, you know, I've said some bad things in chat to prove my point, and of course, I've never been punished for it. You know, I account shared and. You know, I've left games that other people have left before me. I never leave a game first because I know better. I'll end up on Reddit. I end up on Reddit anyway. But you know, I've done things like that. But the thing is the issue is that since none of this stuff is getting punished, everybody just does it. Right? Everybody just does it. So yeah, I've done some things that may have deserved bans, but I feel like my time has passed to the point where they can't really go back and punish me for it, especially now that I'm like on a tighter leash. I'm not gonna like, when I go back to Korea, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna like play the game normally without saying anything, record all the people hinting me, and then make another video.
So one of the things while we're on this subject is you actually, I think it's yours, a spreadsheet you had.
Oh yes.
About
this is great.
You taking the second blue buff of the game, and I guess that is an unwritten no in Korea, and it's supposed to go. I think you said to your mid laner.
Yes.
So you have an entire spreadsheet. It's pretty amazing where it's like took blue buff, second blue buff 2, and what happened. I guess my question is, why do you keep taking that blue buff? Because it seems like it's not working out.
I don't take it anymore. I can't. Like, I actually made an account. I had an account. It was in Diamond 4, and I renamed it because I was doing a social experiment here. And it's actually, this probably isn't on the spreadsheet. I don't remember exactly what's on the spreadsheet. Mm-hmm. At one point, there were just too many AFKs that I just stopped. I stopped tracking them, and I stopped taking the blue buff. And I made an account. It was called Blue is Mine. I'm not giving you blue. And I said in the lobby, excuse me, I'll be taking the blue buff. I hope you don't mind. And then I just muted them, right? And yeah, I went through and I went from Diamond 4 to Platinum 1. And I am most definitely not a Platinum 1 level player. And just because the people just kept going AFK. Now, I think that personally I can carry a lot harder with the blue buff. But I give it, because the thing is like in Korea, your jungler is treated as a second support. Mm-hmm. And to me, that's kind of insulting. But you have to remember that you are playing on the Korea server and you are playing by their culture. And I actually had a Twitter conversation with Last Shadow where he was blaming the Chinese for making the Korea server toxic and stuff. And I told him to hold the Koreans to a higher, like to hold the Koreans to it as well, not just the Chinese. And, you know, I even used that blue example as a thing. And he mentioned that if you do not give the blue buff to the second blue buff, you're basically griefing and trolling them. And I can't exactly paraphrase, but it feels like he says that he doesn't really blame them for trolling at that point. So I think Last Shadow is kind of if you know Last Shadow, he lives in Korea as well, and he's high elo. He kind of understands. He's a Westerner that kind of understands the way that the Koreans do things as well. Just don't take the blue buff. Just don't.
That's what I'm learning. Yeah.
Well, the thing.
Yeah, I've stopped.
Fair.
The thing that I started thinking about as soon as this blue buff thing came up into the conversation was there was an incident last year where there was a support player who started playing Nunu as like a counter jungler, right? And he was
yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and this is interesting to me because it's like the game exists and there's an agreed upon sort of paradigm about how it should be played, right? And every once in a while, somebody decides that they don't agree with that paradigm. And where do you draw the line between this person is just straight griefing, like he's not attempting to win the game, he's just being an idiot, as some people thought with the Nunu, he disagreed, and ultimately Riot agreed with him that he was attempting to win the game.
Fortunately.
Yeah. But like the blue buff thing is like a little bit less exciting to me because it's like not somebody like you taking the blue buff is not an exciting new strategy or anything. Like it's literally like a yes no decision. But I see some of that same sort of like orthodoxy and the resistance to like letting the jungler take it there. Obviously Riot hasn't stepped in and been like, you have to let your mid laner take the blue buff, which would be crazy. But it feels like this is like a codified norm that in some cases you've chosen to just disregard, basically.
That is exactly how it is. I am disrespectful towards him when I take the blue buff, but I've been playing League since 2009, man. Like, I've been through all the metas, and to me, I enjoyed the creativity kind of thing, you know, like the new thing. And so to me, just this unwritten rule, I could be playing in gold elo. I'll be smurfing in gold elo, and my mid laner will still come over and try and take it, even though I'm the better player, and I know I am. They don't know it, right? Every elo does this. It's insane. But I'll be playing on Vietnam, my blue buff. NA, my blue buff. EU West, my blue buff. Everywhere except Korea is my blue buff. And the problem with that is that NA, like the Riot members at NA, they don't balance around that, right? They don't think about Korea doing that. So it makes my life a living hell. Like, because my jungler, my Master Yi, Riot balances around NA meta primarily. So Master Yi does really well in NA. But in Korea, I'm treated as like a second support. So my Master Yi does a lot poorer, and it's really frustrating for me.
But also, Master Yi, not exactly a supportive jungler in any sense of the word, right? So
yes, so he doesn't do as well in Korea in terms of the norms.
Yeah.
So I presume, and do correct me if I'm wrong, that once the ban comes to an end, you will return to playing on the Korean server.
Probably. I mean, I was thinking about doing like an unranked to Diamond series on multiple regions. Like I'm doing an unranked to Masters in Vietnam. I've seen a lot of success with this because the Vietnamese absolutely love me. I don't know why. I love them. We love each other. But it's a lot of fun, right? And I live in Korea, so I can play on Taiwan. I can play on Vietnam. I can play on Japan. I can play on Singapore. I can play on Philippines, right? So I have a lot of different options for unranked to Diamonds. And the thing is like my viewership in Korea in general, people don't like – I don't have many Korean viewers. I don't know why. I've always assumed that I would have more. But because of that, like people come to see high elo Korean gameplay. And what happens is they end up seeing high elo AFK and fountain gameplay. So it's a lot more fun to play other regions. You can already, if you watch my stream, I mean, obviously my stream's doing much better now after the ban, but you can see my mood is just, it's amazing. Like I still yell, but my mood is just so much more amazing when I don't have an AFK. Like, at least 4 times a day I have an AFK in Korea. It's insane.
Yeah, so at the end of the month, maybe you'll be so happy you just won't go back, is what you're saying.
Well, no, I live in Korea, and I have multiple accounts in Korea. I will, of course, play Korea server, but rather than the single grind on the Korea server every day, all day, I'll consider hitting other regions, hitting other audiences. It depends really on what my viewers want me to do.
That makes sense, actually. That totally makes sense. It sounds like it's, if nothing else, the ban is providing you with some new content ideas.
It's providing me amazing content ideas.
I want to ask Cowsep, because we've talked a lot about the ban, the toxicity on the server. Right. In your opinion, what does Riot Korea have to do to fix this? Because obviously the way that people are trolling you, in the sense that they're just like they're just AFK and fountain, but they're moving around and stuff, that is not going to be picked up by an automated system that just like where like lever bust or whatever they call it, where people just leave and then obviously they get flagged or whatever. So what does, in your opinion, if you were in a room with Riot Korea right now, what do you tell them they have to do in order to make the server a better place?
Yeah, so in general with questions like these, I usually say, well, that's not my job. However, in this case, we brought up enough attention to it that I feel that I should give some input. I saw a post on the Korean version of Reddit. It was in Korean, and the individual, he was a lawyer, I believe. I don't know, and he brought up a really good point that the auto detection systems aren't going to work. And I think that's the same for many regions. Like, for example, NA, EU West, they could have the same toxicity as Korea could. Like if all the players started behaving in that way, because the system just doesn't work. So what this lawyer said is, he said, Riot Korea needs to intimidate toxic behavior in a way by rewarding people that are not playing in a toxic way. For example, the honor system. The honor system was a good attempt. However, the honor system, I got level 5 honor within like 2 weeks, right? Whenever it first came out. But now I'm sitting on like level 2 or level 3 honor because nobody really uses the honor system anymore. That's not a good way to incentivize them. And you just need ways to discourage people from doing it, not just through bans, but through like a reward system or something like that. I think they were on the right track with the honor system, but I think they need to do just something extra. I mean, I'm not exactly sure. Or, just hire somebody else to, hey, go do the thing. But as the lawyer mentioned, that they don't want to put a lot of resources into that because to ban that many players is a lot of resources.
It's interesting because hearing you talk about, like, you don't want to just threaten people with negative things. You want to try and reinforce positive things.
Yeah, positive behavior, yeah.
It brings me to, like, thinking about in the real world where, like, you could have a world where the only reason anybody acts in a decent way is because they're afraid of being punished. But would that world be someplace that you want to live in? Right. Well, certainly when the cops aren't around, probably not, right? When there's no threat of punishment, probably not. So it seems like maybe the denizens of the Korean server are just maybe there isn't even the fear. There isn't even that level, right? There isn't even that level of like I will be punished. So
there's a lot of go ahead and punish me in their chat, or go ahead and report me is what they say.
Okay, well, it's interesting.
Fair enough. We've been talking a lot about, like Josh said, the ban and what you're doing now and what you're going to do in the future. And it does sound like that even though this pretty unfortunate thing happened, it's at least had some positive impacts. Like we said, giving you some new content ideas. You're having more fun on the stream, all that good stuff. So it sounds like, you're not going anywhere. However, there are a group of League of Legends streamers from a certain generation that have been moving on for the game. And we don't get to talk to a lot of full-time streamers on this show. And I wanted to get your take on that. People like Nightblue, Spazzy, Brick, sort of leaving the scene that they've been in for a long time.
Yes. I was actually talking with my manager today about that. Because I noticed that there's a big trend and changes in terms of the streamers. Trick2G, playing some Fortnite. Nisi playing some Fortnite. Nightblue right now isn't even playing League of Legends. He's playing, I was watching him before we came on. He's playing some other game, right? And he's using his webcam and he's changing it up. I think that the thing is that a lot of streamers are scared to change up their routine. However, with the recent the surge of Fortnite has showed that there is a large player base for the streamers to get a chunk of that pie. Some streamers like Trick2G are not scared to try and get a chunk of that pie because they're good at battle royale games like that. And in general, I think that there are two things that are leading them to change games. One is that there's a large amount of viewers that they can get from that other game, right? There's still a good audience. One thing, you don't want to switch to a dead game because you won't get any new viewers. The other thing is they feel in general that the Riot Balance team have not been doing a good job of keeping the game fresh and have been ruining the game. I personally really dislike the Riot Balance team, and I've kind of talked some bad things about them on Twitter, but I don't plan to personally quit the game. And the thing that drives me to do that is because League of Legends is stable. It's shown that it's lasted for a long time. I can just casually play the game and talk to my chat. I'm good at the game and things like that, right? Well, Fortnite it's a big gamble. It's a big gamble, and it's really interesting to me that a lot of streamers are willing to make that gamble. However, you've noticed that a lot of streamers that do make the gamble, I'm not going to name any names because I don't want to do that. They've actually started playing League of Legends again. They realize that if I play in Fortnite, I'm going to get lower viewers. I'm not going to be able to make as many YouTube videos and stuff like that. I think that those streamers that you're mentioning or seeing, if they're popular on like League of Legends, unless they're like popular on H1Z1 and PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds, right? On League of Legends, you can't transfer your MOBA skills into another MOBA. Nobody's going to watch you play Dota, right? It's not as flashy as shooting people. So if you see somebody quit League of Legends for Fortnite, I pretty much guarantee that 90% of them will be back, except for the really stubborn ones.
That's interesting. Well, we had Skara on here a little while ago, and he was telling us about a possible Fortnite streaming bubble that could be coming up because just so many people are jumping on that game. Especially after the Drake, Ninja, Travis Scott whole thing.
Yes.
So that could definitely be something we see in the future. I do like the point about audiences not translating too, because when I think of a streamer, I think of like your gameplay has to be good, but I also think your personality is obviously a huge part of it. And if you have a great personality, maybe you bring your audience from one diverse thing to another. But Fortnite and League of Legends are pretty different.
Yeah. Why watch me when you can watch Ninja, right? If I'm gonna switch to Fortnite, but the thing is continue. I forgot.
Oh no, that was just my little musing there, my little point.
Yeah, about the Fortnite thing, the bubble or whatever, is that Fortnite's actually going to have some issues in the future, I think, because one of the things is when I'm browsing through my Twitter feed and I'm looking at all these cool ass Fortnite highlights, one of the things that immediately comes to my mind is, dang, that looks a lot like when I smurf in silver. And then I realize, hey, Fortnite doesn't have a matchmaking system. And then it's when you suddenly realize you have these pro players that are like the really good players that are just playing with newbies. Like they will mess around with the newbie in the top 2. Like what kind of game is it where you have a newbie versus a really good guy deciding the fate of the game, right? And I think that people are going to get a little bit bored watching that.
I really like what this discussion has sort of talked about the risk of moving on. At the risk of dating myself, I remember the golden age of MMORPGs. WoW established itself, and then there was a new MMO every month, and people were hopping around trying to find the next big thing, and most of them, almost all of them, did not work out, and almost all of those games are dead or in a state of, I don't know, like in a game coma.
Yeah.
Like, so it's kind of interesting because I remember one of my favorite MMO sort of just commentators hopped to a new game. I was like, I don't like that game, and then soon enough he was back. So
they always come back.
When you see these genre explosions, it's always interesting to see how it will shake out in the end, because as you rightly pointed out, League of Legends, for all its faults, is the dominant and stable MOBA, at least in terms of player base and viewership. All my love to Dota, though. Love Dota.
I love Dota too. I love Dota as well.
So you wouldn't ever consider streaming some Dota?
I can't. Well, I played like 4,000 games of Heroes of New Earth, and then I also did 1,000 games of Dota 2, and I had pretty good MMR. I was actually really good at the game. But the issue is when I moved to Korea, my ping really suffered when playing on the NA server, and Koreans do not touch Dota, like none. You cannot get a game in Korea. Nobody plays it. It's dead. Wow. And the turn rate when you're lagging, it's just no.
Oh yeah, I guess I would be really bad with lag. I didn't even think about that.
Yep.
Cowsep, we know where you are right now. It's absurdly late, or actually early in the morning. So we'll let you go soon enough. But before we do, just wanted to know if there was anything you wanted to talk about that we didn't prompt you on, anything you wanted to say that you didn't get a chance to, or just simply a shout out to all the Cowsep fans, new and old.
Well, I guess if we have any of those people that have followed me through the years, I appreciate them sticking around, and also the new people, I appreciate them. But don't really worry about the ban or anything like that. I'm going to serve out the ban. I'm not calling for justice for my ban. I just want to see reform on the Korea server. At the end, dude, I just want to play the game like I played it in NA. I've been playing it for years, and I just want to see some real gameplay, not 15-minute mid-opens. That's all I want.
You and me both. Sounds good.
Yeah, I can't even handle NA, so I mean Korea sounds real bad. I don't think I could do it. So
it does sound quite trying, I must admit. Cowsep, thank you so much for making time this early in the morning for the Score eSports podcast. It's been a real pleasure speaking to you.
Of course, it was nice speaking to you guys as well.
Take care and get some sleep.
Yes, you too. Well, don't sleep, but I will.
Well, now that you mention it, I'm going to go under the desk and take a nap.
That's a great idea.
See you, Cowsep.
Yes, goodbye.
All right, Josh. Well, that was a nice window into something that we usually don't talk about on the show, which is like high elo, other regions, streamers too. We hit a lot of numbers that we usually don't on the Score eSports podcast, because often we're focused on the esports element of it, obviously. So you got pros on and managers and people like that. But I had no idea that. I don't play League of Legends. I just watch it. So I had no concept that the Korean server was its own special entity, let's say.
Well, until this whole situation blew up, I also had no idea. I don't watch a lot of Korean solo queue, and when I do, actually when the SKT players all started streaming and Faker broke the streaming record, I was watching a bit, but admittedly my Korean is not very good. So I don't know. Also, don't know if people would flame Faker to his face.
I
actually
hope
don't.
not.
I actually don't know if that would happen. I assume it must happen, but I can't pick up on the toxicity really as easily. So.
I really hope they wouldn't. But when you guys were talking about that game that Cowsep was in with Bang, and there was like a AFK or a lever or whatever, I was like, seriously, dude? Like, if I was in a game with someone of that caliber, like I'd be trying my heart out, right? You know?
Yeah, I mean, I've never been in a game with a League of Legends pro that was that high, but in some games I've been in a match with players that were like recognizable figures, and I just want to not look like a scrub.
Yes.
I don't even care if I win. I would love to beat them, but I just want to not look like a scrub. So outright griefing in a game like that is just beyond me, man. Like I don't even know how I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Like if Bang was in a game with me, I'd be like, I gotta let Bang win this game somehow. Like I just gotta.
That's your new goal, 100%.
Yeah.
I can't claim to understand the mentality either. Although, wow, pardon me. It's nice to hear that Cowsep is not taking that blue buff anymore, though. When I saw this spreadsheet, I was like, this guy needs to stop doing that. It's just not working out.
Yeah. We had the discussion about the blue buff, and I'm like,
we did.
At a certain point, if you know it's such a norm, why do it anymore? And it sounds like he's not doing it. So that's
what he said.
But
so,
at a certain point, it's like if you know that the moment you take that second blue buff, the game is gonna just end for your team, I just wouldn't do it. And that is the pressure of norms in any environment, right? Like at a certain point, you just say it's not worth it for me to do this. It's just not gonna work out. So
yeah, it sounds like that's the conclusion he came to, and the conclusion that we've come to, I think, is the end of this podcast. Just want to thank everyone for listening. This has been the Score eSports podcast. Also, a big thank you to our guest Cowsep for talking to us at 1 a.m. Korea time. That's very nice of him. Don't forget to tune in next week. We do it every week. And Josh, are we ready? Oh, I can hear the music. He's cueing me out. It's like an Oscar speech.
Yeah. Sorry, they come in from stage left.
Yeah.
And they hook you with the hook thing.
Josh, I'm gonna let you finish, but no.
But what?
But I don't know.
You got to make a statement there.
Master Yi is the best. I don't know. I don't have a statement. My statement is thank you for listening. For Josh Burry, this has been Colin McNeil saying until next time, GG.